people ask why I hated Reggie Miller, here's your answer.
Of all his rivalries, Michael Jordan hated Reggie Miller the most. And when I say hated, I mean the kind of hatred that stayed with him for decades. Reggie Miller wasn't just a trash talker. He had a special talent for getting under people's skin. He managed to expose a side of Jordan that almost no one else could reach. Reggie made MJ lose his composure, pushed his buttons, and even provoked him to the point where the two ended up throwing punches during a game. Today, we're diving into exactly why Michael Jordan couldn't stand Reggie Miller. And trust me, it runs much deeper than you might think. To understand how their feud really began, we have to rewind all the way back to 1987, during an exhibition game. At the time, Reggie Miller was just a rookie entering the NBA. Like every newcomer, he wanted to test himself against the best. But unlike most rookies, he didn't stay quiet about it. In the first half of that game, Jordan wasn't dominating. He had only scored 4 points. Seeing an opportunity, Reggie decided to poke the bear and
you're right, Michael. Who do you think you are? The great Michael Jordan? That's right. There's a new kid on town, right?
said something that would ignite one of the most intense rivalries in basketball history. Imagine trash-talking a guy in just his third season who was already averaging 37 points a game. That takes serious guts. The funny thing is, Michael Jordan didn't even respond at first. He just smirked, nodded, and kept playing like it didn't bother him. But once the second half started, it was like someone flipped a switch. Jordan went from casually jogging around to full-on assassin mode. He started draining shot after shot, making it crystal clear to everyone in the arena exactly who he was. By the end of the game, Jordan had dropped over 40 points, while Reggie Miller got humbled so badly that he later admitted it was the first and last time he ever tried trash-talking Michael Jordan. That game wasn't just funny in hindsight, it became the foundation for everything that followed. From that moment on, Jordan didn't see Reggie as just another opponent. To him, Miller was the rookie who disrespected him, and forced him to remind the world exactly who Michael Jordan was. And if there's one thing everyone knows about MJ, it's that he never lets things go. What started as a preseason joke slowly turned into years of tension. Every time the Bulls faced the Pacers, there was an extra edge, and it wasn't just about basketball. Jordan genuinely had it out for Reggie. By 1993, things had gotten so heated that their rivalry erupted into an all-out brawl on the court. By then, Reggie Miller wasn't some rookie anymore. He'd become the face of the Indiana Pacers, averaging 20 points per game and earning a reputation as one of the NBA's most irritating sharpshooters. And not Patrick Beverly annoying, where a guy just yells at refs. No, Reggie was different. He was the type who never stopped talking, clung to you like static, and somehow always got the calls to go his way. So when the Pacers faced the Bulls in March of that season, the tension was already off the charts. Chicago was chasing a three-peat, Jordan was at the absolute peak of his powers, and Miller was
1 on 2, 1 on 3, couldn't get it, and put back, no, it did fall. Now Michael Jordan and Reggie Miller having a go at it, and I mean we had fist throwing, here come the benches.
Desperate to prove that Indiana wasn't just another background team in the Michael Jordan movie. The game got physical, and then, it completely exploded. Here's the thing about that fight, it wasn't just some random on-court scuffle. Michael Jordan lived by an unwritten code. He demanded respect. You could battle him, you could even get physical with him, but the moment you acted like you were on his level, that's when things got personal. For Jordan, attitude was everything. And Reggie Miller? He didn't care. He crossed that line with a smirk, completely unbothered. If the 1993 fight showed how deep their rivalry really ran, then the 1998 Eastern Conference Finals proved that Reggie Miller not only had the audacity but also the talent to nearly change Michael Jordan's legacy forever. This was Jordan's so-called last dance. The Bulls were chasing their 6th championship in 8 years. The dynasty was fading, and the Pacers had finally built a team strong enough to challenge them. Reggie had a solid squad behind him: Rick Smits, Mark Jackson, Chris Mullin, and a young Jalen Rose. This wasn't just Miller versus Jordan anymore. It was a full-on clash between two basketball powerhouses. And the Pacers? They weren't scared. Not even a little. The series went all the way to 7 games, and every matchup was a war. Chicago had the championship pedigree, but Indiana had nothing to lose, and that made them dangerous. Reggie Miller thrived in that kind of chaos. Game 4 was when everything reached its peak. The Pacers were down by 1, the clock ticking down, and Miller got the ball on the wing. Guess who was guarding him? Michael Jordan, locked in, glued to him, ready for anything. Most players would have panicked in that moment. But not Reggie. He shoved Jordan out of the way, stepped
2.9 seconds. Harper's on Miller. McKee gets it in the middle for the win.
and drained a clutch three-pointer with less than a second left on the clock. Market Square Arena erupted. The crowd went wild as Miller pounded his chest and roared like he had just slain a god. And honestly, in that moment, it felt like he had. That shove became the defining snapshot of their entire rivalry. Think about it. Who else would have the guts to shove Michael Jordan in a playoff game on national television? Nobody. And the craziest part? There was no whistle. No foul. Nothing. If that play happened in today's NBA, social media would have exploded with slow-motion replays, memes, and endless debates. For the Pacers, that moment proved something bigger. They weren't afraid of the Bulls' aura. They didn't care about the legend, the rings, or the intimidation that came with facing Michael Jordan. They believed they could take down the dynasty. But
If I had to pick a team that gave us the toughest time in the East, Indiana was probably the toughest outside of Detroit.
for Jordan, it hit differently. He already found Reggie Miller irritating, but now this same guy had literally shoved him out of the way, on live TV, and got away with it. For someone as competitive and prideful as MJ, that wasn't just a highlight, it was a personal insult. And if there's one thing Jordan never did, it was forget. Even years later, he admitted that the Indiana Pacers were the toughest team he ever faced in the East, outside of the bad boy Pistons. But that, as they say, is a story for another time. And that's really the full arc of their rivalry. It started with a rookie's trash talk gone wrong in 1987, escalated into a full-on brawl in 1993, and reached its dramatic peak with that dynasty-threatening shove in 1998. But even after all those years and battles, one question still lingers. Why did Michael Jordan single out Reggie Miller more than anyone else? Here's where things get interesting. Jordan had rivalries with almost every major name of the 90s, but if you line them all up, there's a clear difference in how he viewed them compared to how he viewed Reggie. Take Charles Barkley, for example. On the court, their battles
On the drive, in for the left, gets chased into the corner, comes right back. Through the foul!
were fierce. Barkley even snatched the MVP award from Jordan in 1993, and their finals matchup that same year was nothing short of legendary. But off the court, there was mutual respect, even friendship. Jordan admired Barkley's game, and Barkley respected Jordan's relentless drive. They'd golf together, hang out, and talk like two alphas who recognized and respected each other's greatness. Their real falling out didn't happen until years later, when Barkley publicly criticized Jordan's performance as an NBA team owner with the Charlotte Hornets.
Jordan putting the move on Porter, stopped by Drexler.
Patrick Ewing was another one. Every spring, Bulls vs. Knicks felt less like a basketball series and more like a war. Ewing took more playoff beatdowns from Michael Jordan than almost anyone else, yet through it all, there was always a sense of mutual respect between them. Ewing knew he was going up against the greatest of all time, and Jordan respected Ewing's toughness, consistency, and refusal to back down. The battles were brutal, elbows, hard fouls, and trash talk flying every night, but neither man ever flinched. Whenever Jordan talks about his toughest matchups, he always brings up the Knicks, and that's largely because of Patrick Ewing. Their rivalry was fierce and physical, but underneath all that intensity, there was genuine admiration. Then there's Clyde Drexler, the guy the media tried to hype up as Michael Jordan's equal. That narrative didn't last long. The 1992 NBA Finals put that debate to rest almost immediately. Looking back, it's almost funny how quickly Jordan ended the conversation. In Game 1 alone, he torched Drexler and the Blazers, hitting 6 three-pointers in the first half. Not just to score, but to make a statement. Even after completely outclassing Drexler on the biggest stage, Jordan still gave him credit, calling him one of the league's.
People have asked me for years why I couldn't stand Reggie Miller. It wasn't the trash talk or even the way he played. It was the way he carried himself, like he actually thought he was built like me. That's when I knew he had no idea who he was messing with.
Great players. There was competition, but also respect. Isaiah Thomas, on the other hand, was a completely different story. The rivalry between the Bulls and the Pistons wasn't just competitive, it was personal. Those games were straight-up battles. The bad boys played rough, and Jordan hated every second of it. He and Thomas could barely stand to be in the same room, but even that animosity came from mutual respect for what each team represented. It was about pride and dominance, not petty hatred. Now, compare all of that to Reggie Miller. With Reggie, there was no respect. No, he made me better. No, he was one of the greats I had to go through. None of that. What Jordan felt toward Miller was pure irritation. He didn't see him as a worthy rival. He saw him as a pest, someone who hadn't earned the right to poke the bear but kept doing it anyway. And if you think that's just an exaggeration, You don't have to take anyone else's word for it. You can hear it straight from Michael Jordan himself. That's the difference. Barkley got respect. Ewing got respect. Even Isaiah Thomas, as much as Jordan hated him, still got respect. But Reggie Miller? He got none of it. And that's where things started to get even more personal. In an interview with ESPN, Michael Jordan once said, "I don't really dislike anybody in the league, but playing Reggie Miller drives me nuts. It's like chicken fighting with a woman. His game is all this flopping type thing. He weighs only 185 pounds, so you have to be careful. Don't touch him or it's a foul. He's got his hands on you all the time, like a woman holding your waist. I just want to beat his hands off because it's illegal. It irritates me." That's a brutal description. Jordan wasn't just saying Reggie talked too much. He was attacking his entire style of play. To MJ, Miller wasn't playing real, physical men's basketball. He was playing a sneaky, crap.
I don't want people to think that it was some big rivalry, because a rivalry to me is we are on equal footing. I was never on equal footing with MJ, okay? But I loved the battles. And I know a lot of players that I played against, they would bow down to him. And that just was not going to be me. It was not in my nature to do that. So maybe I was hard-headed. Maybe I should have bowed down to him.
Crafty, referee baiting version of it. That chicken fighting with a woman line summed it up perfectly. Jordan didn't see Miller as a worthy rival. He saw him as someone who didn't even belong on the same floor. And that's classic MJ. He didn't just want to win. He wanted to dominate so completely that his opponents would never even think about challenging him again. That was his thing. Total psychological control. But that's exactly why Reggie Miller got under his skin.